can't choose between life and death when you're dealing with what is in between.
This has been ongoing for months, and is freaking me out. Over the months, strange stuff has started happening while I'm trying to sleep. Every night, my bed will randomly shift, and my foot will feel like it's being crushed, as if something decided to take a seat on my bed and just watch me. I've heard whispers and sniffing as if the entity has a pet dog. I always feel like I'm being watched. My room is in the basement, and in this house, in the basement, the only thing that ever makes sound in the middle of the night are the pipes and the vents. There should be no reason for the washer changing setting, which can only be done by dials, or something smacking the water heater loud enough for me to hear a clear ting, or even random stuff falling over and off shelves. I've lived in this room for 2 years now, and this only started 9 months or so ago. But the worst part happened yesterday. I suffer from paranoia, so these past months I just chalked it up to me being paranoid. Until yesterday, at 10 a.m, I got out of bed, got dressed, and after I went up the stairs to get breakfast, I had a clear adult voice from a few feet away say, "Yay, he's awake." It couldn't have been my mum because she was at her business, and she's the only woman living in our house. No, I wasn't hallucinating. I never have before, and I was wide awake by the time I left my room. Just like always. My family thinks I'm crazy, and haven't heard or seen anything. Clearly she likes me. Why else would she be excited about me being awake? So she's not really a threat. At the moment at least. But it's still creepy. How do I get it to stop? It's freaking me out. I'm fine if she stays, so long as I get her to stop being so creepy. My friend told me I should talk to her. This is terrifying. What if I say something that makes her mad? I share a room with power tools and saws and stuff. She's most active at night. That one time at 10 a.m. was the only time she's done anything when it was bright out. Any help would be appreciated. Okay, so about 3 years ago my mum and I were living in a one-bedroom apartment. We didn't really have any money and it was the only place we could afford. It was a super old Victorian home in Tacoma, Washington, that had been sectioned off into 4 different little apartments. Since I was a kid, I've always been super sensitive to energy. Whether it's people or a place, if there's some type of negativity, I can sense it. When we first moved in there, I felt weird. I wouldn't say that I felt anything evil there, but the place felt off. A couple of months in, I went to spend the night at my boyfriend's place, which wasn't something I did often. About 9:30 I got a call from my mum. Mind you, at the time she was 63. I picked up and could immediately tell that she was upset. She asked me if I was at my boyfriend's and if I was okay. I told her yes, I'm perfectly fine. And she then explained to me that she'd gone to lay down to go to sleep when she heard my voice yell her name. At first I doubted it, thinking she just had a bad dream. But she was sure that she hadn't even been laying down for more than a minute, still wide awake, and then it was like I was right in the doorway, yelling "Mama." We both tried to forget about it, but my mum was convinced something was there in our apartment that was trying to scare her. A week later, she'd gotten some Palo Santos to try cleansing the apartment. She again did this while I was out, but she called me, scared, begging me to come home. When I got back, she explained that she'd done the usual, starting from the front door, going throughout the living room, to the bed and bath, then the kitchen, working her way front to back. She said, as she came to walk back into the living room, where we had this little table and chairs, her chair was pulled out from the table, tilted back, balancing on its back legs. I tried reassuring her we would start looking for a new place, but it wasn't going to happen fast because of our money problems. About a month after that, I was on the couch while she was cutting vegetables for dinner, and I heard her scream. I ran into the kitchen and she said she had placed the knife down on the cutting board, turned around to the sink to grab another vegetable, and when she turned back, the knife was gone. She said she turned back to the sink and was checking the counters, but it wasn't there. So she opened up the drawer to get another knife, and when she turned back to the cutting board, it was there again. We left the next day to stay with a friend for a while. But this was the most scared I'd ever seen my mum, and I know it wasn't because she was losing it or getting old. She's still very lucid. I still believe if we stayed there, something bad would have happened to her. Before I start, I'd like to just say that I've had practically zero paranormal experiences in my 23 years of life. Although I do believe in the paranormal, I'm very skeptical when it comes to believing that these experiences below are supernatural. I'm mostly interested in seeing if other people on here have experienced similar things happen in their home. So, as of 2020, there has been some weird activity in my home. I have had in total 3 experiences so far, in which 2 of them are just noises that I've heard, and the other is an actual visual experience. To start off with, the first experience I had was one day when I had just sat down by my computer to play some games, when I heard my guitar, which was behind me, play one faint note by itself. I didn't see the string move, but I know 100% it was the sound of a note being played on my guitar. I was speculating for a moment if I had maybe hit something that would cause the guitar to move, hence playing a note on accident, but I didn't think that was the case. No way I would be able to do that. My guitar always rests in the same location, and I have never had anything like that happen before. It was just weird. The second experience I had was one day when I was sitting on my sofa browsing on my phone. My cabinet next to me suddenly made a loud bang and shook. At first I was really surprised and confused because it happened out of nowhere. But I couldn't explain it, so I simply just ignored it. However, shortly thereafter it happened again. Same bang, same shaking. I just didn't know what to believe. The third and most crazy experience happened when I was watching TV. I was watching TV when I noticed that my cornflakes box suddenly moved on its own, like if someone were to take their hand and pinch it for just a second. This one felt really crazy because I could actually see it move briefly on its own. I just don't know what to make of this, to be honest. The weirdest part is that all of this happened in a very short time span, and since then, it has been quiet and nothing abnormal has happened since. I live in an apartment/house that is meant for student housing. It's 2 stories with 5 bedrooms, each with their own private bathroom. There's also a kitchen and living room area downstairs. I live in one of the bedrooms downstairs, right next to the bedroom door. Over the past week, I've had 3 separate paranormal experiences that I just have no real explanation for, and I'm starting to wonder if maybe I've encountered something. The first thing that happened was at around 2:30 a.m. I was home alone and cleaning my bathroom while waiting for a friend to come over. I heard this enormous crash and thought someone had broken in through the glass-paned back door. Instead, what I had found was that the glass light cover in front of my bedroom had somehow detached from the fixture and shattered across the ground, leaving glass everywhere. The light bulbs themselves had not been broken, but nonetheless, I was left incredibly shaken thinking about how that could have fallen on someone. After that, my dog refused to walk out of my bedroom. I had to carry her into her kennel in the next room where she normally sleeps at night. Her choice. The next day I cleaned the kitchen with my friend, and one of the things we focused on was the dishwasher, because there was a gross smell coming from it. Later, when we were resting on the couch, both the microwave and dishwasher turned themselves on at the exact same time. The microwave didn't have anything on its screen, and the washing machine was turned to the pots and pans setting, a setting my household doesn't really use. Then yesterday, I left my house to go pick up some necessities from Walgreens with my friend, making sure the door was locked before I left because there's been a lot of crime in the area. I even go as far as to shake the door before I leave, to double check it's locked correctly because the door doesn't always lock correctly. I can say with 100% certainty that the door was completely locked and closed. When I got back, however, the door was wide open, and my friend and I had to comb the house with our defense weapons, pepper spray, and a prayer, yelling to anyone that might have been inside that they needed to leave. Luckily, nobody was in my house or took anything, but the experiences I've been having are starting to spook me quite a bit and leaving me on edge. Hell, now I can't sleep because of these new detailed and graphic nightmares I'm having. They involve shootings, crushed fetuses, and just in general some of the most disturbing dreams I've ever had. All of these things combined have left me nervous and wondering, am I dealing with more than just janky student housing and stress? Any and all advice is greatly appreciated. Thanks ahead of time. So, I've had strange encounters and experienced paranormal things since before I can even remember. I wonder, can things that act as a poltergeist follow an individual? I ask because in almost every house I've lived, I've experienced activity. Most very similar. 2 separate homes I lived in the same town had almost exactly the same activity. Doors opening and closing, lights turning on and off, loud banging, things falling and disappearing, that sort of thing. The first house got pretty intense before I left. The kitchen light fixture was torn from the ceiling. A window was torn out of the frame, and I kept coming home or waking up to all the doors, cabinets, drawers opened. I even saw an energy entity in my bedroom. The next house I moved into, the same things happened, and I saw the same energy figure. Things in that house escalated much faster. Lights unscrewing themselves, hearing talking, hearing footsteps running towards you, doors slamming, things getting broken. But since I moved to the other side of the country, everything stopped. Gradually though, our lights have begun flickering when I enter the room. Our doorknobs occasionally jiggle on their own. And we've recently started seeing things move out of our peripheral vision. A month ago I swore I heard my husband open our front door and say something to me. upon further investigation, he was still at work. Our cats have reacted to all the incidents and have randomly hissed with their tails fluffed up 3 to 4 times in the last few months. Very out of character for them, as they're super non-aggressive kitties. We've lived here for a year without major incident, but things are progressing very similarly to the past. Could it somehow be the same thing? Or am I just paranoid? I've been dealing with him since I was a kid. My parents named him Herbert, as he used to do things around their house and make the lights flicker when my sister was an angry teenager. Then she left and I came into the picture, and I don't think he was happy about it. There was a lot of murder in my house, from the time I was 8 to when I was 12. My brother became schizophrenic out of nowhere, and the voices would tell him to stab our pets to death, smash their heads in, and even ours too, but he wouldn't touch us. It drove my parents so insane, they had to divorce. I didn't really hear much about Herbert as a kid because he left when I came, but I have a feeling everything that happened in my childhood created some kind of aura for me that attracted these things. Now I'm 19 and have been dealing with him for months now. I call him Edward. The lights flicker in the rooms I'm in, but only when I'm there. Anything from car lights, the lights in my friends' houses, and the LED lights in my room. Everything is constantly flickering, but only when I'm present. I always try to just say there's faulty wiring, but how can it always be faulty wiring everywhere I go? October 11th, 2020. My ceiling fell on me while I was taking a shower, revealing the dark attic and all of the vermiculite that I inhaled. We finally got around to boarding it back up on February 8th, 2021. Within not even 3 hours, clear goop started dripping steadily from the boards. I thought of every possible way this could happen. Mold, fungus, sap, anything. We even had someone go up there and check and make sure there wasn't something crazy. Nothing. The goop comes from literally nowhere. It stopped on February 10th, 2021. Then my dog starts screaming. He won't come upstairs to my room. He stays downstairs all day sleeping rather than being up here with me. He won't let me carry him up the stairs. He freaks out. Not sure if it has anything to do with Edward, but in October and December of 2019, he broke his back twice while he was home alone, and none of us could figure out how the hell he managed to do that. He's fine now after the most expensive surgeries of my freaking life. Also, in October 2020, my car stereo went on the fritz. I came outside from work and they were popping and emitting static so loud, my co-workers came outside to see what the hell was going on. I've done everything I can, from taking it to a mechanic to unplugging all the breakers that power both the stereo and the speakers. They do it when my keys are in my hand, before they ever even reach the ignition. There is no power to my radio or my speakers, and to this day, they pop, crackle, and emit loud, annoying static that almost causes me to crash my car. I started waking up covered in bruises and scrapes, and I'm constantly having headaches and losing time. I'm not sure what's going on, or how to stop this from happening. It's driving me and my family absolutely insane. Edit. I am adopted. I don't share blood with the crazies in my family. I actually have no known mental illnesses, not even depression. Our new house was under construction, so my mum had to supervise it. I had to go home alone and have snacks. It was the routine that I left the school and headed to the construction site to pick up the keys of the old house from my mum. I took the keys and went to the old house. I heard moaning sounds while going inside, but I didn't care much about it. I grabbed some snacks and sat in front of the TV and started watching Oggy and the Cockroaches. I felt like someone was observing me. I heard low, moaning sounds. All of a sudden, the half-filled water bottle on the table started levitating, almost like a flying butterfly. Without further thinking, I freaked out and ran faster than Bolt to the outside of the house, as I already felt someone's presence in the house. I gathered all my courage to investigate and headed inside the house. And then I saw a black translucent figure standing right at the levitated bottle. There were no rumors about the rented house, but I freaked out and left the house unlocked and ran to the construction site. I told my mum about the incident, but she didn't believe me. And from that day on, I always had nightmares about that old house. I was 10 at the time. That's my one and only ghostly experience. Thank you. Hello watchers and listeners, thank you so much for watching. As always, a big thank you to all of the Reddit users who kindly allowed me to use their stories. If you want to help support this channel, you will find links to both my Patreon and my Teespring store in the description below, so feel free to have a look. And the biggest thank you to all of you who continue to support me. I truly do appreciate it. And remember,
Papa loves you.